Welcome everyone to our PIAC December 12, 2023 meeting. I would like to, are you able to put up the agenda a bit there, if you don't mind? I can't. On behalf of co-chair Zena Sherrick and myself, Sharon Grant, again, welcome. We've reached quorum, so we would like to do the land acknowledgement. Michelle, are you able to, or whoever is managing the agenda for me? I cannot see the agenda. Okay, not seeing the agenda. I'll, if you can stand, please do so while I do the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge we're hosted on the lands of the Mississauga of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. I'd like to go over a code of conduct, we just, for us, we are all here as volunteer parents and staff, and we'd like to have everyone have respect for each other, give everyone a chance to speak, be respectful and courteous. And I'd like to go over some of the meeting norms. And before we go to administration, any conflict of interest. It's very important that I do this first. So meeting norm. During question comments period by PIAC members, the following will occur. I need to say it earlier so that we can have that for later. Rounds of question comments will occur to allow all PIAC members to have an opportunity to ask questions, comment at least once. PIAC members are expected to keep their question comments as concise as possible to ensure all PIAC members have an opportunity to speak. Co-chair will close question comment periods to ensure the meeting agenda is adhered to and indicate that questions, comments that are pending at the close of the question comment period be put into the chat or email to info@piac.com to be recorded as part of the meeting minutes. For PIAC motions that do not involve amending bylaws, change or meeting procedures or budget allocation, which are moved and seconded, the following steps will occur. It's important that I say this now and then we go on. The PIAC co-chair will ask if any PIAC members wish a recorded vote. If 3 or more PIAC members request a recorded vote, then a recorded vote will occur. Following the roll call voting procedure of calling on words one at a time for their vote. If less than 3 PIAC members request a recorded vote, then the motion is considered passed by consensus. I just want to let you know that we're live streaming as well. So if you are able to put your camera off, if you're doing anything that you do not want to be live stream on, I just want to let you know as well. And we'll move on to the meeting administration. I'd like at this point in time to ask if there's any conflict of interest. Okay. Is there any change of membership status? So I'm going to call upon one of my PIAC members to help support me in the, or is it Michelle? Are you helping support in the chat? Or we can, anyone from membership? Anyone from membership can help me, or?
For you, Chair, there's nothing in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, all right, perfect. Thank you. I just checking to see because I'm asking the questions. Thank you. Approval of the consent agenda. Approval of consent agenda. It's for the agenda from November 7th minutes. Anyone would like to put the motion forward and second?
I can put the motion forward. Janice, Ward 11.
Okay, and anyone would like
Ward
to
1 can second.
Thank you. Okay, so If all is in favor, any issues or concern would like to speak about in terms of the agenda? Okay. Okay, so through consensus, then it's considered pass, okay? I just want to go back. I know I missed something. I just wanted to officially ask my membership team. We do have quorum before I continue, correct?
That is correct. We have quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to provide on behalf of Zena, my co-chair, who's unable to join us live. She's there in the background. I'd like to submit our report. There are part of key elements. Normally I would read all my reports, but today I won't. What I will do is highlight some of the key points within the report. And then membership, I'm asking and encourage for you to read the report, okay? First and foremost, I'd like, one of the highlights is to welcome our new PIAC co-chair. So on November 7th, 2023, a PIAC elections took place and Zena Sherrick emerged as the new co-chair of PIAC to join current co-chair, myself, Sharon Grant. We welcome back Zena, who was a past member and past co-chair, looking forward to working with her. We also like to thank outgoing co-chair Andrew Waters for his work at PIAC and hope to see him return to PIAC in an advisory capacity to the current co-chairs. Welcome to our new trustee PIAC liaison. On November 15, 2023, an organizational meeting took place with the TDSB Board of Trustees, and Trustee Matthias De Vittas, and I like to call him Trustee Matthias, and he's okay with that, I believe, was elected as a PIAC liaison trustee. We welcome Trustee Matthias De Vittas and look forward to working with him. We also want to thank Trustee Debbie King and thank her for supporting PIAC. Members, this is very important that we put this in our minutes, in the agenda. It's about unity in the life of a PIAC member. Unity for PIAC means being or staying together. We should help and support each other in any situation. When we're together, we're stronger, and being together is paramount in building a good and strong parent involvement committee, PIC. Unity is important at every step in our journey of advocacy for our TDSB parents, and I repeat, this is our advocacy for TDSB parents to the board as a PIAC Parent Involvement Advisory Committee member in order to improve student achievement and well-being. PIAC School Council Empowerment Conference, save the date. All PIAC members, CLG representative, parent, caregivers, and community members, trustees, and TDSB staff, please save the date for our annual conference to be held for the 2023-2024 school year on Saturday, February 3rd, 2024. PIAC School Council Empowerment Conference call for volunteers. We will need all PIAC members to be available to help support this conference and school council celebration because this is a conference for parents, by parents, in partnership with the TDSB. It's very important that we support our own events, and this conference is an opportunity to let our TDSB school councils and school communities know about us and the work that we do to support, encourage, and enhance parent engagement at the school, at the board level in order to improve school student achievement and well-being. Key here is student achievement and well-being. We need that improvement. PIAC co-representative orientation and strategic planning upcoming session, January 24th, date to follow. PIAC orientation, in order to bridge the gap and better understand PIAC co-rep role and responsibilities, it's very, very important that all new and current members participate in an orientation with the co-chair, Zena and myself, and our membership and our communication team, with the support of PCCO in the capacity that they can offer. We're looking for 100% attendance at this orientation, which will be held in January 2024. We're hoping to use this forum as a networking session to better acquaint ourselves within this community as well, and help us grow and help us build towards that February 2024 event. And within that, we need to do our strategic planning. In whatever capacity that we can do, we want to at least start this within that particular forum, instead of having our parents coming back and forth. So within that day, we would need to have a strategic planning session, even if it's a working group session, but the start before our upcoming PIA conference. Best time to do this would be in conjunction with our orientation session to be held in January 2024. It's important we as a committee review our 5-year vision and to see if we have met these goals and objectives. We also need to set our next 5-year vision, which should be in alignment with the board's multi-year strategic plan. The board have started theirs, so now we need to start ours to ensure that as a committee, we can continue to provide effective advice to the board on behalf of our TDSB parents, guardians, and caregivers, in order, again, to improve student achievement and well-being. I'm asking also that it's very important that we all, as a PIAC member, and this is one reason why we want to do the orientation, is that part of the requirement as being a PIAC member, which is an elected role within your ward, is to help support the work of PIAC by joining a working group, and so that your voice is also heard at that table. And from that voice, it's a collaborative effort voice to committee. So the work is done at the working group level. The advocacy starts there and then build up to our general meeting, where you as a team ask your co-chairs to represent you at whatever meeting within the board to help support and advise. So I'm asking that I believe there's going to be a sign-up sheet within the chat. Since this is online, we know that all of us here have the ability to enter that chat and sign up. I'm asking you to please sign up for this particular sign up for working group. You can do non-governance working group and governance working group. Governance working group or elected co-reps, voting members, CLG reps, to are members of part of the voice at the governance level. And then non-governance, we're going to encourage, we have co-reps, can be in any one of them, can be co-reps. We want to encourage our co-reps, go out and get your parent community come in. This is where they can help at school council. That's a non-governance group. Event planning, non-governance. Communication is non-governance. Consultation is non-governance. So they can be part of any one of those at the table and have a strong and vibrant working group. And also committee members can be part of that. I'm not going to go through a lot on my, because I was going to take up the whole day, but one important message I would like to say is I would like to wish on behalf of Zena and myself, oh, sorry, there's Michelle, is there the link also for the, to do the what Zena had set forward for us to reflect, for members to kind of assess the year and see how things went this year. If we can put that in the chat as well. If once members, you have a chance during the whole process, if you can fill that out. And as I go on, wishing all of PIAC membership, working group parents, trustee, PIAC liaison de Vitas, TDSB staff. So AD Sam and his team, Exec Superintendent Chan and Exec Superintendent Robinson, working group community members, as in Nicole, a safe and enjoyable holiday with your family, and also our outgoing co-chair, Andrew Waters, as well. Looking forward to working with you all in 2024. All the best. Thank you. And after that, we would like to call upon Trustee Matthias de Vitas to say a few words. Trustee Matthias, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Co-Chair Grant. I appreciate the time here. I'm going to ask if it's okay. I'm not sure who's managing the Zoom, but if we can take out the agenda while I'm chatting so people can see me. Otherwise, at least the way I'm seeing the thing, what I think most people see is just the small square in the back. Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank my predecessor, Trustee Kang, for having spent some time with me to try and walk me through what some of my role would be, and having encouraged me to participate. I'm looking forward to working with the committee to try and raise parent voices and parent concerns at the board. So I'm going to go through a number of different items. So to be new at this, I didn't really think about the timeline in terms of when to send the report. So I will be sending the report to be shared with folks and to be part of the minutes, but I didn't do that prior to the meeting. So to get into the report, I think there is an item that will gather significant amount of interest from parents and educators. There was a motion moved by Trustee Arhart and our chair around the banning of cell phones in school in plain language. Really, the motion looks at looking at our policy, reviewing the policy, and coming back with a report. So I'm going to include the link to that motion. And the motion is moved in December for we speak to it in January. So we'll be dealing with the issue in the next regular board meeting in January. And I think that will have significant amount of interest from parents and educators. We all have opinions about our cell phones and whether or not children should have it, and what is age appropriate and what is appropriate for the development of young minds and things of that nature. So I'd be interested to hear folks your opinions about a possible ban in sort of simple terms. I also wanted to share a couple of different important dates. Middle French immersion application deadline is coming up on January 8th and February 2nd for 2024. So I will be sending out that information. Folks not familiar with that, important for us to share with folks. Similarly, the elementary alternative schools online applications deadline is coming up. The timeline is between January 8th to January 31st. And for anybody interested in those applications, the information and the link will be included in my report as well. And I'm encouraging folks to share that with your own school communities and networks. And then lastly, the TDSB student census results are out as well. So thank you to all those of you that participated in filling out the forms and getting other folks to do that as well. And I'm going to include the link for that report as well. And with that, I'm going to pause. And Sharon, I think we talked about this, and the questions and answers would happen later. Yeah. So I'm going to pause, and hopefully some of this information will be useful. I'll be sending it off to Michelle a little bit later in the evening, so she can put it in the minutes and share it with other folks as well. And Sharon, you're on mute. Huh?
Thank you, Trustee Matthias, again. Michelle, are you able to put back the agenda on for me, if you don't mind? Sure. Thank you. It was so. I would like to now welcome senior staff updates. Associate Director Audley Salmon, I'm welcome you and your staff to provide update. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know, did you want to start?
No, you please go ahead.
So actually, I'm going to defer to Executive Superintendent Yuchan Robinson, who will have some remarks, and then I will introduce our speaker after that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. I trust everyone is doing well, and Sharon and team, thank you for those wonderful introductory remarks. We're looking forward to your leadership as you embark upon it in support of all parents within the Toronto District School Board. I wanted to take an opportunity to share something that came to our attention recently in regards to thinking about festivals and celebrations in December. This was shared with us by the Equity, Anti-Racism, and Anti-Oppression Department, and it reads as follows. I'm just going to paraphrase a few of the paragraphs. That as we know, in much of the Western world, December is very much linked to the story of Christmas, whether from a religious or cultural narrative. It is important, however, to acknowledge that many TDSB staff and students hold different high holy days, celebrations, or festivals during this time, and points during the year as well, where the goal is belonging, engagement, joy, and the affirmation of the identity. It is important that the diversity of students and staff lived experience be centered in discussions, presentations, and learning opportunities. Does this mean that schools should not celebrate Christmas? The question is not whether or not Christmas should be part of the discussion in schools in December. For many in the TDSB, Christmas is one of the most important holy days or meaningful festivals within their culture, lived experience, or family. The question we should reflect upon is the extent to which Christmas is part of the school discourse in December, while other creed or faith high holy days do not receive the same level of attention or focus, especially when these days hold a high significance for students, their families, and some staff. So again, we support that schools can look to larger themes as they begin at the beginning of learning about holy days, festivals, and celebrations. This is something that I know that many schools grapple with at this time of the year. And as always, what we want to do is to reflect our students and our communities during this time of celebrations as we move towards the winter holidays. So I'll yield at this point, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that information. I will turn it back over to Executive Superintendent Shirley Chan.
Thank you so much. Also, I'd like to welcome all the new members of PIAC as well. And just a reminder that there are times when, by request of PIAC, we bring in presenters. And one of those examples will be next month when we've been asked to bring a presentation regarding continuing education and our international languages. So we will have representatives from staff to speak to that. We also have opportunities where staff requests of PIAC as part of a consultation process, a part of an information sharing process to come to PIAC. And we've had that a number of times as well, whether it's from Peter Singh in IT or whether it is multi-year strategic plan, our system superintendent, Elizabeth Addo. And today we have, we welcome our senior manager of planning, Dan Castaldo. And the topic for today is the review of legacy, technical, and commercial boundaries. So this might be relevant for some of you very much so, and for others it might be more of a learning piece, but certainly we will have an opportunity for questions afterwards, and we just want to make sure that, that Dan had an opportunity to share that with our parent group, as this is our system consultation group. So without further ado, over to Dan Castaldo. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Shirley, and good evening, everybody. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a slide deck to walk through. I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible. I know we're on an agenda here, and I don't want to take too much of your time this evening. But as Shirley said, there will be some opportunity for questions and answers at the end. And I'll also provide an email address that you could also submit comments or questions to should they still exist after this meeting. So just let me know when my screen is visible, please.
We can see it.
Go. Awesome. All right. So thanks again, everybody, for having me this evening. As Shirley indicated, I'm here to share some information with you about an upcoming review that involves our former technical and commercial schools. And the specific focus of that review is going to be the attendance boundaries that are associated with those schools. And the reason that this process is slightly different than other boundary reviews that we undertake is the sheer scale of it. The attendance boundaries for the former technical and commercial schools, they're geographically quite large. So the number of school communities that could potentially be impacted by the proposed changes is also quite large. So we thought it would be helpful to present this information to this group as one of what will be many opportunities for information sharing along the way. But this review, it's not just about the boundaries. This is also about access and equity of access. And one of the goals of the review is to expand access to these schools to all students in the City of Toronto and not just those that reside within these legacy boundary areas. So I'll start by describing the current landscape of our secondary school system and how the legacy technical and commercial schools fit into it. So right now, admission to most of our secondary schools, it's administered through a series of collegiate attendance areas. They span the entire City of Toronto, and every single address in the city is assigned to a local collegiate. And that's representative of the system that we're trying to achieve, every address being assigned to a single secondary school. But we have other layers of boundaries on top of that collegiate system. We've got large regional boundaries, and those are associated with the former technical and commercial schools. They are much, much larger than the collegiate boundaries, but they only cover a certain portion of the city. And that means that there are additional as of right school choices that are provided to some parts of the city, whereas others don't enjoy that same level of access. But those big, large technical and commercial boundaries, they've outlived their purpose. They were created at a time when students were streamed into academic programming at their local collegiate or into a more vocational type of program that would have been offered at a technical or a commercial school. But we're not streaming students anymore, and all of those schools, they've reinvented themselves, and they now offer a composite program, a range of courses, just like any other collegiate across the city. Of course, many of them have and will continue to have rich technical options and courses, but that's because of the facilities that they have available to them. And we do feel that these schools have a presence in our secondary system. But leaving the boundaries intact the way that they are doesn't really align with a lot of our strategic documents and initiatives at the TDSB, like our long-term program and accommodation strategy that really prioritizes equity of access, or the secondary program review that also prioritizes equity of access, as well as strong neighborhood community schools. So this is the list of schools that have the legacy boundaries. We have what I would call the big four at the top, and those are the former technical and commercial schools that only have a technical or commercial boundary. Central Tech, Central Toronto Academy, Danforth Collegiate, and Western Tech. The next two, Northern and Victoria Park, they're a little bit different in that they also have a collegiate boundary attached to them. So they have a collegiate boundary and a large technical boundary and commercial boundary in the case of Northern, and Victoria Park has a very small technical boundary. And how these two schools are treated compared to the big four at the top will be a little bit different as we move forward. So I'll just touch on another large system-wide initiative that we undertook, and that was the secondary program review. That was a comprehensive look at all of our secondary schools across the city, as well as a review of our policies and our procedures. And that concluded in 2020. And the goal coming out of that review was to improve equity of access to programs and opportunities for all students. There have been many unintended consequences of the current structure, and they've resulted in some imbalances and inequities amongst our schools in terms of enrollment and programs and course offerings, among others. And the vision that the trustees had approved for us coming out of this review was to move towards a system of strong neighborhood secondary schools. And those schools would have large enrollments that generated the staff to deliver the programs and the courses and the opportunities and experiences that all of our students want and need, and to have those opportunities as close to home as possible. And also coming out of the secondary program review was the initiative that we're presenting to you tonight, and that is a review of our legacy boundaries. So this is a proposal of what we're proposing to do, and I'll show these schools and the boundaries on a map in just a second so you can contextualize where exactly we're talking about. But we're proposing that these legacy boundaries be dissolved, and that we create secondary schools without a boundary, or in other words, boundaryless collegiates. The exception to that rule would be Northern and Victoria Park. They already have a collegiate boundary, and they would continue to use that boundary to admit students. But by dissolving these legacy boundaries, we're extending an opportunity for all students in the city to apply to these schools. So in other words, we're leveling the playing field in terms of access, where certain addresses in the city don't have that as of right access to multiple secondary schools. All the addresses impacted by the change, they would still have a designated collegiate. Nothing would change in that regard. We'd be aligning those areas with multiple layers of choice with most of the city where there's a single designated secondary school. The schools would continue to operate as they currently do with the programs that they have. We wouldn't be changing anything with respect to those areas, and we wouldn't be asking any of the current students to leave any of these schools. We're also going to be revising the public website, specifically the Find Your School application, and we're going to create an enhanced presence for these boundaryless collegiates. Right now, and I'll show this too in just a second, these schools, they're simply captured in a column at the end of the table that says technical programming or commercial school. And that in no way accurately reflects what these schools offer and characterizes them, in all honesty, as somewhat of a second choice compared to the collegiate. We're also going to be creating a new application process to admit students into the boundaryless collegiates, and this will be separate from our out-of-area admissions process and separate from the Central Student Interest Programs process also. And any student in the city would be eligible to apply. And like our other application processes, if required, we would use a random selection process if the number of applications exceeded the number of seats available in any given year. So this is a map of the city, and this is showing the collegiate boundaries. These are the blue boundaries that span the entire city of Toronto, and this reflects the system that we want to achieve. The locations of the schools, they're also indicated on the map, and those are in the gray circles. But really, you can see that we're talking about schools that exist in downtown Toronto. We have Victoria Park to the northeast, Northern somewhat in the center of the city, and then the big four along the downtown from west to east. And this is a map of the technical boundaries. So you'll immediately see that they don't cover the entire city of Toronto. They really only encompass the pre-amalgamated city of Toronto. There's also some shared areas here that add to the complexity. So some addresses benefit from actually 5 school choices, where majority of the city only has access to 1. These are the commercial boundaries in purple. And again, same situation. You'll see they don't cover most of the city. They really cover the western part, let's say, center and western part of the pre-amalgamated city of Toronto. So this is the Find Your School application. This is the table that one would see when they enter in their addresses. And at the top, this is what a member of the public would see if they resided within one of these legacy areas. They would see their designated collegiate, which in this case is Jarvis or Parkdale, and then they see a technical programming option, which would be Central Technical School, and then they see commercial school, which in this case is 2 more options, Central Toronto Academy or Northern Secondary School. Now below, this is what most residents in the city would see, which is a single secondary school, their local collegiate. And what was of concern for the principals, superintendents, and some trustees of the legacy schools was that if we were to simply dissolve the boundaries, these columns would also disappear, and therefore there would be no access or no presence at all for these schools on the website. So that's something that we're thinking about as we move forward with this process. And this is an example of what could be done. So if we were to dissolve the boundaries, those 2 final columns in the table, they would disappear, but we create a floating banner that would provide notice and draw attention to these 4 schools for everybody, regardless of what their address is. And those technical and commercial school programming columns we saw before, they would disappear. We improve the look and feel of the banner. This is just an example for now. But we would also be providing hyperlinks to these schools, and the schools would then have an opportunity to really describe the programs that they offer. Whereas the current structure just says, technical programming or commercial school, which doesn't really reflect accurately what the schools offer. This is an example of what the school profiles could look like. We'd have an opportunity to highlight the programs, the SHISMs if they exist. Central student interest programs exist at some of these schools as well. So it'll be a real opportunity to profile them, whereas right now that information may not be available to everyone. So that brings me to the final part of the presentation, and I apologize if I'm moving quickly, but we will be moving forward with opportunities for public engagement. So because we're dealing with a really large geography and likely a large audience, we're going to be holding 3 virtual public meetings to share information, to receive feedback, to provide an opportunity for members of the public to ask questions, to seek answers to those questions. And those meetings are going to be held in the new year. So the 15th of January, the 18th of January, and Sunday, January the 21st. So we're trying to diversify the range of voices that we're going to get on this issue. So we're going to hold an evening meeting on a weekend as well. So we may also live stream this to YouTube, depending on the number of registrants that we may get. We did share a message through TDSB Connects that went last week, and that was to signal to members of the public and TDSB staff as well that this review was active, that there will be opportunities for engagement in the new year. We provided links to various resources like our long-term program and accommodation strategy, secondary program review, and a web page that we've created solely dedicated to this review. And we'll be adding information to that over the coming weeks. Maps, some of the information provided in the slide deck. We'll have a Q&A document there. We'll be adding to it as questions come in prior to the public meetings and after the public meetings as well. And we're going to be sending out a detailed note through School Messenger before the winter break, and that's going to contain all of the information about the public meetings, the registration links, as well as additional information that will be posted on the website with respect to this review. And this is the last slide for me this evening. This is outlining our next steps. So again, we're going to be holding those public information meetings in January. This change would require board approval, and we're targeting February 28th for that Planning and Priorities Committee meeting, and that's going to be the opportunity where members of the public will have an opportunity to make delegations directly to trustees. That would carry us to March 6th, 2024, where the final approval could be granted by the Board of Trustees, and we'd be implementing for September of 2025. So nothing changes for this coming school year. We'd be looking to dissolve the boundaries and make all of these changes for the 2025-2026 school year. And that's the conclusion of my presentation. So thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. If you do have any questions, I'll stick around for that. And if not, feel free to submit them through PIAC, and I'll do my best to get answers to you as quickly as I can. So thank you.
Thank you. And that ends our senior team update. I defer to the chair as to whether you want to take questions now or wait until after PCO's report. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go with the PCO office update, and then we'll have a little bit more time for Dan to answer any questions. Go ahead, Michelle.
Good evening, everyone. Through you, Chair. Thank you very much. As usual, I have provided a written report, and I've been asked specifically to speak to the School Council Innovation Grant. As many of you are probably aware, on Friday, November the 24th, my office had attempted to communicate with those school councils that had applied for the School Council Innovation Grant. Upon doing so, we engaged a technical error, and I can speak to the technical error in light of the fact that we were trying to do a mass merge and communicate with large numbers. Upon sending that email, the merge documents got conflicted and individuals received multiple communications. The communication created some confusion as to whether they were successful for the grant or unsuccessful for the grant. So I believe I'd read where some council chairs had indicated that many have probably received 4 or 5 communications, and each of them were competing. So that occurred on November 24th, and when it was brought to our attention, the staff quickly attempted to correct the error by notifying all the applicants immediately, indicating that it was an error. And then we followed up with that on Monday, November the 27th. We connected with all applicants again that outlined the error and outlined to them what the next steps were going to be. We also referred them to the School Council Innovation Grant frequently asked questions, just so they can get their questions answered about what took place. On Tuesday, November the 28th, we then personally called all the successful applicants, just because we wanted to confirm that they were fully aware that they were successful for the grant. We did not give a grant number if we got a voicemail. We just confirmed that they were successful and indicated that it would be followed up with an email to indicate the amount, or they were to connect with their school principal around the amount. The unsuccessful applicants, as you know, we had two categories of those. The first are those candidates who were unsuccessful because they did not meet the grant eligibility criteria. They were notified by email, and they were notified by email simply because we wanted to ensure they had access to information about the appeals process, and that if they were interested in appealing, they could do so. And then the unsuccessful applicants whose applications were approved through our process, but we just didn't have sufficient funding, they were also informed of that. We have all the information available on our site as it relates to who the lists were, and you're able to view that by your wards. A couple questions had come to me in advance that I would like to speak to. The first question was whether we could indicate on the website what projects were unsuccessful based on the application status, meaning they did not meet the eligibility criteria, versus those who did but was unable to get funding. We have not done that because we don't want to breach the applicant's privacy to do so, because unsuccessful applicants this year may be successful next year. And so to put that out there may limit what a council may or may not do. The applicants themselves are provided this information in their communication as to whether they were unsuccessful due to limited funds or unsuccessful due to the fact that they did not meet the criteria. The next question was about the model schools and the number of model schools that applied and the number of model schools that were actually successful in their grants, and whether we targeted model schools in terms of our grants. And we do not prioritize model schools during the School Council Innovation Grant for multiple reasons. The first is model schools for inner city. Those schools, in light of their status as a model schools, gets additional funding for parent caregiver engagement among the school allocation. They also, in addition to that, get the $1.25. In addition to the minimum of 500, they also get those.
Are you guys fasting?
Those grants through you, Chair. Just give me one moment. I'm going to see if we need to.
Can you please mute? Members, please mute if you're not speaking. You're not presenting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll just pick up where I left off, why we do not prioritize model schools for the School Council Innovation Grant. And that's simply due to the fact that there's additional resources that they have access to. And also because the School Council Innovation Grant is an optional, it's not a required application for school councils. School councils may or may not choose to apply for this reason. the maximum allocation for the School Council Innovation Grant is $1,500. There are some schools that get that maximum amount just through their annual allocations that they receive from the board and also from the ministry. So for example, a high school may get a maximum of $1,000 through the TDSB School Council allocation, and then an additional $500 through the ministry's allocation. So they already have $1,500 that they may use to prioritize their initiative. And so because there are multiple resources that are already accessible to schools, it's an optional thing for school council who may have something above and beyond that they would like to apply for the School Council Innovation Grant for. The last question that was asked to me was, in light of our review process and the scoring that's allocated, how do we score our grants? The maximum, we score all applications when being reviewed is scored out of 20. And we set a high average of, in order to be approved, you must be between 17 and 18 out of 20 to be approved for the grant. That benchmark would set that high because we know we have limited funds and that each year we get far more applicants than we do dollar allocation. And what we do then is, once the reviewers have reviewed and scored the applications, all those that are approved are put in our random system, and it's a random allocation based on the dollar figure, and it's a blind randomization we do in terms of who meets our dollar target to be allocated the funding for that particular year. We have received, I will say, multiple communications from school councils who find that randomized allocation they deemed as not equitable. And what we're saying is it is the most equitable way we've come up to be able to do that blind randomization, recognizing that there are a large number of councils who do apply. And as always, each year, we review the process based on the feedback we get with the goal to keep working on it to improving the School Council Innovation Grant. Thank you, Chair, and I will stop there.
Thank you. And now I'm opening the floor to question period. I am going to do it in a little bit different structure. Any questioning for Trustee Matthias? Let's have those question answers first. Then for Dan, our guest, and then if anything for Michelle. Okay, so opening the floor to questions for Trustee Dudavitas, if any. And don't see anyone, and then no hands up. Okay. I want to personally thank you, Trustee, for your report, and looking forward to reading the written portion. And again, I want to welcome you. Warm welcome to you. Okay.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And if folks have questions later, feel free to send me a message. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And now I'm going to open the floor for Dan. Can I say Dan? Okay, thanks. For Dan, I'm going to look in the chat. Any questions? I saw a few questions in the chat. Okay, Ward 15. Go ahead, Yusuf. Go ahead.
A quick question, Dan. When you said that these boundaries will be removed and anyone in TDSB can apply in any of these schools, the question is, if you've got limited number of seats and applicants are more, what happens to those who don't get admission?
So thanks for the question. I think if I heard it correctly, your question was, what if there's more applications received than spaces available?
Right.
Right. So in that case, we would be using a random selection. So we would have students placed into that process, and we'd fill all of the seats to the target that we had set. And then anyone that was not successful in that process would not be admitted into the school.
And that will be the end of story for that.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. That little bit sounds a little bit of concern to me, but you can't do anything on that. I understand that.
I appreciate the question, and yeah, it would be a concern. I can understand that, but part of the reason for doing this is because we do need to have some sort of control on admissions at some of these schools. We've got some real emerging accommodation pressures that we can't control given the size of some of these boundaries. So we're running into some big challenges at some of these schools right now, and we need a way to somewhat mitigate those pressures.
I think that I fully understand that, but I think let's keep this one as an open discussion topic later on. After going for a few years, then we can see how we can look into this so that, if not all, then most of those who apply get admitted to, not now, in the beginning, maybe a few years down the line.
Sure. Okay. No, helpful comment. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to ask our members. Sorry, I'm going to ask our members. One of the things that I know as a rep is always having stuff in the chat, and I'd love to have my members be very active with voice, unless you're unable to speak. So, I'm going to ask Ward 2. Are you able to just? I know you put something in the chat. Are you able to just share this on our behalf if you're able to, and then I will go to Ward 11 after. Sarah?
I can read it for her if you want. I'm Francis from Ward 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So, okay, Francis, go ahead. Go for your co-rep. Go ahead, yeah.
Hold on, let me find it. Oh my God, now I just lost it, Sarah. Hold on. She said, question, is the presentation about technical school boundaries, question, so this presentation is about technical school boundaries. What about the boundaries based on the postal code through student LOI/NIA accommodation strategy?
All right, so I did see the question in the chat. I did put.
And I see that and I saw that you did reply, but maybe you want to.
Yeah.
Yes. Go ahead. Yeah.
Just to clarify, yeah. So this is just one of many reviews that we do undertake. This one is focused on a very specific and somewhat unique issue, which is these large legacy boundaries. We do have our long-term program and accommodation strategy. It is available on the board's website, and it identifies all of the boundary reviews that we intend to undertake over the next 10 years. And most of those have to do with the collegiate boundaries. LOI, neighborhood improvement areas, it's a consideration of all of our work, of course, in terms of equity, and we have looked at some of that information, specifically around who is benefiting from these legacy boundaries and who is not. So that information is part of what we will be sharing at our public information sessions in January. But with respect to the collegiate boundaries and looking at postal codes and how we create boundaries for elementary, middle, intermediate, and secondary schools, we were mindful of many different factors, including LOI, but we're also mindful of enrollments and ensuring we have a balance of enrollment, ensuring we're supporting healthy enrollment at our schools, healthy utilization rates. We're not overburdening schools. We're balancing enrollment to the best of our ability, mindful of our feeder pathways, and we're not dividing graduating students wherever possible, looking at distances to schools, trying to provide addresses with the closest school to them on a geographic basis. So there's many different factors that go into creating boundaries, but all of that, including LOI, neighborhood improvement areas, it's part of all of our boundary reviews. But what I'm presenting tonight is simply one of many.
Thank you. Go ahead, Janice, Ward 11, with your question.
Thanks, Sharon. So Dan, thank you for that presentation. That was really informative. I have a question about a scenario. Say, for example, a family has their eldest child, say, for example, at Northern Secondary School, and in 2025, you said collegiate boundaries will remain, but the technical commercial boundary will be dissolved. So they find themselves in the situation where they no longer are existing in the collegiate boundary. Is there any consideration given to siblings?
A great question. So that is something that we still have to work out, how we're going to implement these recommendations. So through other boundary reviews, we usually extend what we'll say are legacy provisions to siblings of current students, so long as they are currently enrolled at the school. That's also reflected in out of area admissions and so on. So as we move forward, I think that's important feedback to receive because we haven't yet crafted specifically that implementation. And that's part of the feedback that we'd like to get, right? So it might not just be carte blanche. You're not in the tech boundary anymore. You have no as of right access. There may be some degree or priority that we set on admission. Not to say that there will be, but only to say that it's a great question and we do need that sort of feedback as we move forward with the process.
Great, thank you so much.
I'm going to ask a question in general. Anyone from consultation, I'm looking to see if this could be something that, Dan, we could coordinate with our consultation working group. You think, Kadeen, would be, or Sarah, is that something that you would love to collaborate? Because it would be good for, or as PIAC, we start with our working group consultation and then have a,
Can you hear me?
It'll be easier. And yes, go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not in the notes. It's something we already talked about last in the consultation working group as a co-lead. I think Kadeen wasn't there, but the boundaries are crucial. I still haven't gotten full answer. It's just vague because what we're discussing right now is not 10 years from now. The inequality and barriers is happening now with the old school boundaries that's taking place. So we need to address that. So definitely we'll bring it forward on our next meeting.
So, okay. So Dan, sorry, Sarah, I'm going to help support us by Dan. I'm going to put out the invite for us to connect through the consultation working group where we're appreciative of the general information that you provide here, but then we can kind of, we're here to consult and then at the working group level, it's more, you have more time to kind of speak here, and then that working group will advocate there and then bring it back to us as at PIAC to see if we would like to go next step. So is that something through your senior staff? Is that something that you'll be able to help support us on?
Sure. Yeah. No, I just needed clarification on what exactly that was, so that's helpful. Thank you.
Kadeen and Sarah, we're good with that offer?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And then what are we with time now? I have a question for one more, Yusuf, and then we will move on.
Yeah, quick one.
Go ahead, Yusuf.
Can we
and then
can we have the presentation from Dan in an email? That presentation seems to be kind of interesting, and I'd like to go through it a little bit in more detail. If we can have it by email.
Oh, okay. So that through you, execs, can we get that presentation shared with PIAC? Is that okay? That's the request.
Yeah, through the chair, I will follow up with Dan. Dan, I believe it's okay to have the presentation shared. I just want to double check with you.
Yeah, I think it's fine. So why don't we just chat offline and we'll figure out the best way to get that shared with the team here.
Okay.
Thank you
Yes,
very
please.
much.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. An option could be at the working group meeting is shared or whatever, but thank you. We're going now to, we're number 8 now. So Dan, thank you very much for your presentation, and execs, you go let me know if there's any other additional information you'd like to share before I move on to the next thing on the agenda, next item on the agenda.
Thanks everyone for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, and thank you. And any questions for Michelle, PCEO? Okay. All right. So on to
sorry, Sharon, it's Crystal. I couldn't find where to raise my hand.
Oh, I apologize. Did you need to speak?
No, I couldn't find it. No, I didn't. So I'm just speaking out. Yes, I do have a question for Michelle.
Oh, for Michelle. All right, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you, Michelle, for I know you must have got my email and you answered some of those questions. I just on one of them, you're absolutely right. I didn't think about the fact that if you identified on a list that I assume will be on the website at some point, which schools didn't get the grant because they didn't meet the criteria, that would be outing them, and I don't want to do that. More my question is just about finding out like how many people are not meeting the grant criteria, and just if you have a rough number, and you don't have to give it to us tonight, but just I was looking for a number of how many of the unsuccessful councils didn't get it because they didn't meet the criteria versus that they weren't selected in the random selection. And then just the one other point I'll make is about the model schools. So, you know, as a parent who's had kids in the model schools from the beginning and still today, I can see, and I'll say this at every chance I get, I can see that the kids in model schools don't have the same opportunities as the kids who are not at model schools, who are in the more economically high neighborhoods. So I just think that we do have to think about this a little bit and look at how we can help them, because I know there's funding. I don't really see it myself. When you mentioned that there's model schools get additional funding for parent engagement, I'm not aware of that. So I know that we get our allotment just like all of the schools get, but it's not enough. So I just think that we need to look at that, because when I looked at the list of the people that were successful, of the councils that were successful this year and last year, there is one school on there, and there's lots of them, but just as an example, there's a school on there that last year submitted an equity proposal, and this year submitted an equity proposal. And they were successful last year and this year. They're not a model school, and they have $60,000 in their bank from fundraising. So I don't want to exclude people. I know it is an optional thing, but I want to see the model schools having some success. And I'll reach out to my people in my ward to ask them, the ones that weren't successful, I'll ask them myself, like, were you not successful because of criteria or just the random? Because I want to help them to try to make sure that they can be successful and write what's necessary in the grant. Thank you.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Through you, Chair, thank you. And thank you for that, Crystal. There are varying elements that we are actually consistently looking at when it comes to the School Council Innovation Grants. So one of them is we have a significant number of councils who apply for the School Council Innovation Grant who are not spending the existing allocations that they get each year, and whether it's 1,500 or 800. We're able to know that because we run those reports annually. So we're looking at what does that mean, and what should we be doing, or is there something that we could be doing around that? Possibly that if a council is not spending in the past year, has not spent their allocated school council funds, will they be able to spend an additional 1,500 through the grant? Last year, we had a significant number of school councils, model schools and non-model schools, who applied for the grant, but was unable to actually deliver their project and spend those funds. So we're looking at that as well to think through what steps can we take to ensure that councils are aware as to the requirement to spend the grant within the time period, some assessment as to whether you're going to have the time period to allocate the grant. And so there are various variables that we're looking at and having conversations about. And the last one you mentioned is we have somewhere, not always organized in our board, the data of those councils who are able to significantly fundraise. And the question we're reviewing is, should they be eligible to apply for 1,500 if they have significant dollars already within their account, whether internal or external, and should they be eligible to apply? We are reviewing all those things, so I appreciate you saying it. If PIAC School Council Working Group has looked at this and you have some recommendations, we'd love to hear it. please share with what your recommendations would be about those three things. And as we look at the end of the year, at the end of each grants year, the team sits down and we review all the feedback, because we do get a significant amount of feedback every year, and figure out what we tweak. And I will say, you will note that we are constantly tweaking the grants based on the feedback we receive. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Michelle. Michelle, could you just to, and I know that our rep spoke about the dollar value on fundraising, and could you just quickly enlighten us as to the requirement of fundraising? Because to my memory, what you fundraise for, you need to spend on no matter what. So could you just explain just in a quick Cole's notes? Okay.
Through you, Chair, I'll try to do so, and certainly hoping my colleagues in budget won't hold me accountable. So each school council, you're required to do a plan each year as to your fundraising plan, and it must specify specifically what you will be fundraising for. That should be specifically outlined in the plan. The principle in terms of fundraising is that if you're fundraising for that particular school year, it's encouraged that those funds are spent within that school year, and that you're not looking to carry it over. Saying that, school councils are able to carry over funds for very targeted priorities. So if council at its meeting passes a resolution saying that we'll be saving for an X activity. So for example, council is looking to refurbish the playground. So it's a long-term strategy. Council will pass a resolution at council meeting that will indicate that a certain percentage of what's raised each year will be carried over to fundraise for their playground. You can carry funds over for a maximum of 2 years. But I will say that is not something that is really being encouraged, because we want to be sure that parents and caregivers who support fundraising at the school level, that is their students who are benefiting within that year, and that they're not fundraising to long-term initiatives that they may not be present for. I will stop there, Chair, and if there's anything further, I could definitely get my colleagues in business services to forward additional information.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate that, and something that we need to also think of when we're doing a recommendation to school council and consultation. How do we recommend for that? Because there are going to be schools that may have, say they want to sign, and it's a $25,000 or $50,000 sign, that the money is what you promise your parents that are giving you the money, that's what you're going to pay for, that's what you need to pay for. So there are certain things that are restricted, and that may be something that we could put on the we could speak about later and in recommendation on how to find that information out. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I think it should help us a little bit more understanding the whys and the why nots. Okay. I'm going to move on now to. I just want to know, you, Executive Superintendent Robinson and Chan, are we good? Anything else you'd like to present or report before I move on? Or we're good?
Through the chair, thank you very much, Sharon. I believe we concluded our portion of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So on to working group reports. Our working group report is going to be shared by our co-leads or lead. I would like to call upon operational effectiveness. Shanti, or I think it's Katie. Yep. Go ahead.
Hello, can you see me?
Yes.
You can hear me, right?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So we had our meeting, and we had quite a few updates to provide. We have
Shanti, we cannot hear you.
You can't hear me? Hold on.
A little bit. You can.
You know?
Go ahead. We'll try. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Katie and myself were acclaimed as the co-leads of the working group. We had a bit of updates and discussions around identifying and just reiterating what the working group's objectives and highlights are. One of the things that we brought up in our discussion is to be mindful and reminding everyone that the strategic working group still exists and it's not a separate it's not part of Operation Effectiveness or governance by itself. It's a governance working group in addition to Operation Effectiveness and membership. We discussed the budget position. We were allocated 44,000 plus. Our current position is at 43,721 as an amount we've got to spend. However, out of that, we've got 30,000 that's being assigned for the events working group. That motion has been passed. We've got a projected request for 5,000 for strategic planning. And we've got a Zoom subscription that's coming due that we need to discuss at this meeting today to decide what position we're going to put forward for the January meeting as a motion. So approximately, considering all of these amounts, there will only be about 6,500 left funds available, in which we have to cater for subscriptions that are coming
Sorry,
out.
Shanti, because I know it's
Yeah?
to do with budget, we can barely hear the numbers. I don't know, there's something wrong with the speaker. So we gotta,
I don't think it's a speaker. I have Bell's palsy, so my
that's good.
voicing is not coming out properly. My tone is started because I have Bell's palsy.
No, it was the volume. It
It was
was
the volume. Yeah, we can't hear
because
you.
you're
It's
in
the
and
volume.
out.
You're in and out.
I
It's
think
the
it's
volume.
the proximity to the microphone.
I'm not sure how I can go because I'm right
Perfect.
here.
Well, it just got better. Excellent. It just got better.
Okay, all right. The report was shared, so if you look at the report, the numbers are in there. So to recap again, 30,000 is for events. Estimated strategic planning 5,000. Recommendation of 2,100 for the Zoom subscription, which leaves us with 6,600 for other expenses, which have to include our regular subscriptions like the P card and any other renewals. We discussed the bylaws, in which we have some updates that needs to go through, pending on how the membership grows within the working group. These can get looked at. And we did request for all the working group co-leads. If you do have any budget requests, if you can put forward to us so we know what's availability and what numbers we're working with. And so in terms of motions, we don't have any motions today, but we're hoping to have a motion to put forward in the January 16th meeting regarding the Zoom account. And if in the report, I highlighted what the expenses are. So we've got two options that we would like to put forward in terms of what we're renewing for Zoom. So the option one is a Zoom One Pro, which is Zoom large meetings. It's a total of 400 for the Zoom One Pro, and then the large meetings is 1,608. That's a total of $2,008. And the option two is again the Zoom One Pro, which is 400, and Zoom webinars for 500 participants for 1,652. Katie and I discussed this, and we thought we'd either go with option one or option two, depending on what we're using. We use the Zoom for our meetings, but I'm not sure if we've been using the webinars because we're now running our events in person. And there's about 500 participants allowed in the large meetings. We did not opt to go for the renewal of the Zoom 2-year Zoom subscription for Zoom events. It takes for 1,000 attendees. That's a $10,000, 534, and we do not believe our budget have allowance for that. So this is up for discussion. If we can talk about this now, so that we can, Katie and I can bring forward a motion in the next meeting.
Okay. Just to clarify, and thank you, Shanti, and Kadeen, we couldn't hear Shanti a bit, so just clarify the motion again if you don't mind. And the two options, which we could barely hear what she's saying, in case, because members have, this is a governance motion, and so we're gonna need a recorded vote. So
there's no motion, Sharon.
oh, okay.
But
Okay.
option 1 is on the screen and option 2 is on the screen. So depending on which option is chosen, that's when we'll bring forward a motion.
Oh, you're gonna wait till January 20. Okay, thank you. So you're saying January 19, 2024, you're gonna be dealing with this. Okay. So it's just an update.
So the
All
meeting
right.
is on the 16th, so it's get approved before.
Oh. Okay. And then the fee renewal is on the 19th. Okay, sorry, it's because anyone can hear, because we couldn't, it's going, you're chipping in and out, and so that's the reason why. So it's sorry that we have to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
Kadeen, can you go ahead? Okay. Oh no, Kadeen is not online. Okay. So it's just a working group update. All right, then we'll
Yeah,
defer.
thank you, Sharon. Here, I
Go
just
ahead.
wasn't able to speak on time. Good evening, everyone. Kadeen Ward 8. And Shanti covered it all. Our biggest decisions right now are around the renewal of the Zoom accounts, prioritizing what we need, releasing the costs that we don't. There are a couple of accounts that are quite high. And so if we're not using them currently, we prefer to not pay for them and renew those subscriptions. They're quite expensive. And then further to that, we are encouraging all working groups to bring forward their budget requests so that we can assemble a proper budget to bring forward for the January meeting for approval from the membership then. So that's my quick summary. Thank you. And thanks, Shanti.
Okay, thank you, Shanti and Kadeen. Any questions for the working group?
Well, I don't see the option given at the bottom of it. I can see two options, option 1 and 2. What is the third one at the bottom? Zoom.
What's the third? The Zoom One Pro. Or Michelle, are you able to kind of put it up, the Zoom One invoice?
Yeah,
You can't see the bottom.
Through you, Chair. Below is
Okay.
just the full invoice, and it will reflect what you presently have.
Okay.
What you presently have, right, is outlined below with the Zoom One Pro, which is coming up for expiration on January 19th. That was 400. Then you had your Zoom events 1,000. That was 10,000. So what your colleagues are proposing is that because you may be leaving the virtual world and returning, that you will no longer need a large webinar meeting. Your webinars predominantly was used during COVID for most of your large events. So they're proposing that that be removed and that you just stay with these basic two options of your 500 meeting and your 500 webinar.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think. And the two options, the difference is very minuscule, I can see. So we can take any one of those best options. That makes sense. Because $10,000 paying for that, which is not required anymore now, it's going to have, as I said, we don't have a budget for it, I think.
What's the difference between Zoom large meeting, Michelle, and Zoom webinar, and the difference in that few dollars?
It's a webinar is really just based on your attendees, and you hold larger numbers, and you can do a variety of different things in the webinar that you may not be able to do in a large meeting.
Just like what we're doing right now, kind of thing.
Because right now you're in a meeting, right?
In a meeting.
This is a Zoom meeting. If we wanted to go larger, do multiple breakouts, the way you did your event, then you would be looking more at a webinar for those type of events versus this.
Okay, thank you.
And I just saw comments from Andrews regarding MS Teams. Once I was trying to connect through MS Teams to this meeting, but I could not. I don't know why. Zoom sounds to me very easy to connect to, but not MS Teams. So do we have any option for MS Teams also?
Through you,
Okay.
Chair, if I may take that.
Go ahead.
Once PIAC members actually activate their PIAC accounts, you may have access to MS Teams. The limitation with MS Teams for us, as I understand from IT, is we can't host the large numbers and have it broadly open in terms of MST's events. So MS Team is in terms of larger events we're able to do, but there's a maximum on the numbers that we can host with the large events. But you can host events on MS Teams. It's just not as robust in terms of the options as Zoom offers.
All right. Okay.
Remind me of WebEx.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'd like to call Bruce. Go ahead. Word 10.
Oh, good evening. Thank you, everybody. I'm just wondering, what 500 participants, what is the maximum number of any of our meetings that we've had, that we generally have?
Through you, Chair, if I may. If I take it, the large Zoom is not for your PIAC meetings per se, it's for your events that you've held, which you've had between 300-500 depending throughout the day.
Sorry, and if I can just an addendum to that question, when was one of those last large meetings?
That was during COVID. You've returned now to in-person. So your last event was in person, and I understand from your events working group that you will be remaining in person. So I'd say right up to 2021, your events were held virtually.
Okay. Just a historical factor. Prior to COVID, we had zero access to any of these webinars or option to do hybrid or option to be able to connect with parents and connect with our parent community. And the pandemic had us pivot. And this is something that it should be welcomed, because if we can pivot, if there's a snowstorm or whatever it is, we can still able to continue without a delay in providing our advice or an advocacy for our parents. So just as a note, I'd like to call on Kadeen, then Ward 11, Janice. Go ahead.
Thank you, Sharon. I really just wanted to say that as far as us renewing the Zoom accounts, we really want to ensure that we have the platforms that can assist us with our meetings. This is most important, right? Our meetings, our general meetings, our working group meetings, and we also just want to have the accommodation for any town halls and other types of engagement activities that the committee chooses to lead, host over the next few months or the next 2 years. And we would prefer to do that uninterrupted without any challenges, and maybe to ensure that we have those Zoom accounts while our membership transitions to Microsoft Teams would enable us to just have fluidity in our meetings for the time being, and then can look at other options past the 2-year renewal. But just want to ensure that we are able to facilitate our conversations virtually for all of our business uninterrupted, and that's our main consideration.
Thank you. Thanks. Go ahead, Janice, Ward 11.
Thank you, Sharon. I don't know who could answer this question, probably Michelle, but like we're talking about spending money on Zoom, but we also have Teams available to us, and we've had 2 meetings already through Teams. What is the budget source for the Teams, and how do you distinguish, how do you decide whether you're going to use Zoom? For example, we're using Zoom tonight, but we used Teams last time.
Through you, Chair, let me take that. So one of the key messages our district has put out is that we will be transitioning from Zoom as a board. and that MS Teams within the district comes with the Microsoft Office program that is a part of the district. So there are no large costs affiliated with that. If you're looking to transition your regular meetings through Teams, what will then happen with that is that will be operated through my office, but also through any PIAC member who may activate your PIAC email accounts, which we've been trying to encourage all PIAC members to do. And the limitations with Teams may be if you're hosting a large event and you'd like to host a large event, there are limitations to what Teams will be able to provide you and also our numbers. You could do large events through Teams, but not in the same way that you do through Zoom. And if this committee would like more details on the distinction between Teams and Zoom, I could get some communication from our IT team that I can share with PIAC for your information.
That would be great. And also, what's check the inequity? The equity, is it equitable amongst across the board? If you don't have a high-tech phone or iOS, would it allow you to be able to access Team if you're a parent trying to access a meeting? So we need to look at that as well. So thank you. Shanti, and then I'm going to move on. So go ahead.
Just with regards to the Teams, since we'd have to use our TDSB email activated, what happens if we don't get that done in time to attend meetings? What will be the impact there?
If I may, Chair, through you.
Go ahead.
Then our office would, what we have been doing in the last couple weeks is through my office, we've been providing and using our medium. So the working groups was set up using our Teams. So, and the requirements of that is you're not as flexible because it means that my staff has to be present at your working group meetings to open those meetings to allow you in, particularly if you've not activated your accounts. If you do run into technical issues with your account, it does mean that you will not have access to the Teams because you've got to be having your login is going to be through your PIAC TDSB ward account. If it's not there, then you won't be able to have access to it, and then you will require my office for your meetings.
Okay, and thank you. And Michelle, come back.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just concerned with that because I've been trying to activate mine, and every time I've sent in the request, it comes back and tells me that the ticket is closed and it's resolved. I don't have a password to use. I have the email, but I don't have the password.
Okay. Would you
Through you, Chair, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Through you, Chair, if I may. My office has been emailing all PIAC reps, reminding you to activate your accounts, and that if you activate it and you run into issues, you're able to schedule a one-on-one with John, who will walk you through. We have also offered one-on-one sessions to PIAC members to attend an information session with John. We've been doing that till September, and we will continue to do so because we're committed to having all PIAC members' account up and running. And so if you're having challenges, if you go through your emails, you'll see multiple emails from John Manalo. I think even another one went out today encouraging all PIAC reps that if you've not attempted to activate your account, please do so and contact him if you are having challenges.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So on that, I am Michelle. Yes, please provide an update on the team. But I'd also know that the board had started using WebEx, and it was the same situation where you had to have a board ID, and they end up pivoting away from it. So I need to know what the difference between and why is it so much better and equitable or inequitable. Well, we'll look at it, but please provide a good report for our group, okay? Thank you. And can you show me the agenda, please? I'm going to move on, guys.
Sorry, Chair, if I just want to ask, because it does show capacity for Zoom, but it's not showing capacity for Teams. I just thought that would be a simple thing to display here in this question and period. Also, I noticed some members haven't had their hands up and aren't.
Yeah, I'm moving on, Bruce, in time, because we've been on this question period for a while, and we need to go on to the other working groups. Okay. Any
Okay,
questions that any members have, please? And I spoke about meeting norms prior. Please go ahead and send it through the info@piac.com so we can put it onto the meeting agenda.
I understand. It's just a basic question has been asked and it hasn't been answered. What the capacity of Teams is.
Yeah, and Michelle is going to go back and provide a report for us to be able to get that answer. I've asked her to go back and provide the information about Team. And the intent is to have that answered, and not at this meeting, but it's something as a request to be taken away for the team, for TDSB to come back. So Executive Superintendent Robinson and Chan, along with Michelle, would you be able to ensure that IT provides the answer that's been requested by our member in our update report?
Through the chair, we will circle back accordingly and see what we can provide you with in regards to an update through our IT staff.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to need the IT expert to provide that, and so we have to allow staff to go back and provide that. Okay. Hopefully that answers the question. Bruce, we're good?
In the meantime, yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. School council support. I have 4 co-leads, Sarah and Melanie, I think.
Hi, Sharon. Yeah, I'm going to do the report.
All right, then go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. So we had our meeting on November 28th. Here are some updates. So because of all the issues school councils have been having with IT support, we were talking about maybe researching, hiring a consultant to look into alternatives for emails. Obviously, that's going to be a big undertaking, so it was just something we brought up and we were discussing. And hearing about the budget, it seems like we don't even have a budget for it. So I don't know if that's something that can be done this year. The next is the school improvement plan process. We're waiting for some new parent and principal tools, and that the tools are at TDSB design and they're anticipated in January. Principal training to support school councils. We were told it was distributed in October, so all principals should have received the annual distribution. Supporting school councils at ward level. So we discussed some PIAC members wanted to do some outreach at ward level. We wanted to make a budget request. So for each council to receive, so for each rep per ward to get about $500 for outreach. We will be bringing a motion at the next meeting. Next steps and action items. What else? Okay, discussed that. Okay. Okay, that's something I got to do. Follow up with the PCO office regarding the equity reflection activity. 2 things that were not on here. We wanted to bring up training for school council, but specifically for the role of a treasurer. And then also, I know Sarah brought this up tonight, the school border issues with the optional attendance. That is something else we are talking about. And I also want to thank Michelle. I think we we will be discussing bringing a motion about the school innovation grant and give some feedback and recommendation on the perimeters for receiving the grant. I think that's a fantastic idea, and we will definitely discuss that at our next meeting. I think that's it. I'm not sure Sarah could speak, but if I'm missing anything and you can speak, Sarah, please go ahead. Other than that, if anyone has any questions.
I have a question, not a question, but Melanie, are you asking, and Sarah, the school council, asking for support from PCCU about the training for treasurer? And if we
Yes.
could, are you looking for that? So PC office, would you be able to, Michelle, would you be able to speak on that on behalf of the school council support team?
Through you, Chair, upon reading that in the report, I had put out a email to our staff in budget services requesting whether our school financial officers will be able to offer this training in the new year. I hope to provide PIAC with some kind of response, and I'll do so by email.
Thank you very much.
And would you be able to invite school council support as part of that group that if you're doing a general meeting, is there something that could be arranged as well?
Through you, Chair, could you please clarify? I'm not sure.
If just so that school council support is aware and knows what's happening. So if there's going to be an online training, maybe some membership could to be there or even help support.
Absolutely, Chair. The moment I hear back from staff, I will follow up with the co-chairs of that working group.
Yes, because they are the one initiating this request and that working group. Perfect. Melanie, are we good with that? Sarah? Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you would like to support on that is not an actual motion, but a request within your working group report?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to actually mention that we did it. We invited. Oh gosh, sorry, I lost my report now. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. I just totally lost my train of thought and I can't see my report. Nope, it just slipped my mind. Sorry.
It's okay. If you remember.
It says in your minutes, Director Salmon.
Yes, thank you.
Associate Director? Okay.
Yes, thank you. That was it. Sharon, you remember we invited them to the meeting.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm using a different computer and I don't.
Yes.
I'm having a hard time navigating this now and where I put the report. Yep. Do you want to speak to that, Sharon, if you don't mind?
So yes, I would. I'm smiling. Yes, Associate Director Salmon has agreed and is willing to, and with the two execs to come to the work to come to your working group to speak. So Associate Director Salmon, would you like to speak a little bit about that invite and then see how we can coordinate your PCCO?
Thank you, and through the chair. Yes, we definitely are pleased to attend. I can't recall the specific date or whether or not it's actually made it yet into our collective calendars, but I'm certainly more than open in order to engage in a conversation. I just have to follow up with respect to the specific date and time.
Thank you. So Melanie, what we're going to do, PCCO, you know that can you help coordinate through Associate Director Office and the Exec Superintendent Office to coordinate something with our school council team. And we need to have that happen to get starting the work to be done as soon as possible. Hopefully, you know, we can provide some dates, like school council support, provide some dates, and then you can kind of work back and forth to get a solid date. Would that be okay for you, team? Melanie?
Yes, I think we did provide a date. I believe it was January 13th, but there seemed to have been a conflict with the executive meeting. So I think we're going to have to go back and look at that because the date of the school council support working group was the same date as the executive meeting. So I think we need to go back and just double check that.
Okay. And yeah, so one thing in my report is that we're going to be looking at rescheduling and setting up, and you can go with your working group and get a more robust meeting that can support your working group and the parents that are within that group, members. Because I know there's some hardship with some of the dates that's there. You know, sometime from year to year, we may have to pivot. And you know, maybe 1 year it's okay, but the other year may not be okay. So yeah, go back, check it, and I think on Wednesdays, is that a correct, Associate Director Simon, that you have your senior team meeting that it's hard for you to attend and your team?
So thank you, and through the chair, it's usually Tuesdays are we've got exec council in the morning and chair vice chair meetings with the chair of the board in the afternoon. I think exec superintendent Chan has a comment around it.
Yes, the date that was floated was tonight. So we noted that there was a conflict with tonight. It seemed like the working group had on the main schedule, it had been inadvertently placed on the same day as this meeting. So I think once you look at the schedule and revise it, we'd be happy to accommodate the new date. Thanks.
Melanie, Sarah, good?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Any questions for school council support? Okay, Andrew, I'm not ignoring your hand, but I have to give you the platform after a motion, okay? Communications, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Seema's voice tonight because she is sick.
Oh yes, Nicole, welcome. Go ahead, Nicole.
So at our working group meeting, we discussed a few things. We've reviewed and updated the slide decks for school council basics and the onboarding. So since you have a orientation coming up in January, I'm going to pop the link in the chat of the updated onboarding deck for anyone who wants to review it in advance of their orientation or just as a refresher. We've updated the school council toolkit with some current information, and our website visitor stats show a 4% increase in new site visitors this month. December PIAC Post contributions are due the end of this week for the next issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for communications? Nicole? And Nicole, thank you for your continued dedication to PIAC as a community member. We appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to you providing some expert advice at our January orientation. Thank you. And on to membership.
Thank you, Sharon. Both Jenny and I are here, and we're going to split our update. So I'll just start off with what we've been working on. So, you know, this is all included in the report that we submitted, but the two most pressing issues that we've been consumed with have been elections and also working on a ward election package update and making recommendations for a hybrid format. And we are right in the middle of doing that, but we should have it concluded shortly. I just wanted to ask everybody, since Jenny and I, we take attendance at each of the meetings, and it would be very helpful if you could all put your ward number and then your name, and it's easier for us when we're looking down the participants list to match it up and then take attendance. So, because I noticed there's a couple of different naming conventions going on, so ward number and your name would be very helpful. So what's been going on this month? So we had a meeting on November 30th. We currently have 36 sitting members. So our quorum for the meetings is 40% of that rounded down, which is 15. We have 17 members that have signed up for working groups. We have 2 newly re-elected members for Ward 2. That's Sarah Ali and Francis Schwara. Welcome back. We're really happy to have you both back. Currently, we have 9 vacancies. So we've got 2 extra vacancies. One is Ward 14. Bahira has moved to a different school board. And Zena, who you all know, is now our co-chair. So we have 2 extra vacancies there. Number of members with expired terms is 12. And that includes expired terms up until November 21, November 23, and upcoming expiries in December will be 2 more members. So we're looking forward to having some more ward elections. We have a ward election planned for Ward 6. And I think, Crystal, I don't know, has that election happened yet?
No, it's tomorrow night.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're running, and we wish you luck in that. We're hoping to see you back.
Thanks. I hope so as well.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Jenny, who will continue with the update. And thank you all very much.
Sorry, Ward 19, December 14th. I just saw a note.
Okay, perfect. Ward 19, December 14th.
Yes. Good luck. Good luck, Shanti.
All right. So the membership working group wants to put forth a motion. This is regarding, as you know, in the last couple of years, we've had the outgoing co-chair has stayed on as kind of a consultant for a year afterwards to help with the transitions and just to kind of give the co-chairs some extra support. So we want to put forth the motion for for the outgoing co-chair, Andrew Waters, to stay on as a ex officio member. So the motion reads, and it was in our report, the motion is to declare the outgoing PIAC co-chair, Andrew Waters, as an ex officio member upon completion of his term as co-chair. Andrew Waters has an option to become a non-voting member for a 1-year duration from November 2023 to November 2024, to which he is accepted. The outgoing co-chair is an advisory position to the elected current co-chairs and to help support the community for initiatives by the co-chairs. So we would like to put forth that motion.
Would like to put forth the motion. Jenny, you're gonna put forth the motion?
Yeah, I'm putting forth the motion.
Yeah, okay. And who'd like to second that motion?
Well, Ward 15, Yusuf.
Ward 15, thank you. The floor is open now for discussion. Okay. Okay. Because and I had spoken about meeting norms earlier, since this motion do not involve amending bylaws, changing to meeting procedure or budget allocations, which are moved and second, the following steps will occur now. I did ask you, I want to know if any member wished for a recorded vote for this request. And we need at least 3 members to have a recorded vote. Is there anything in the chat, Jenny? No one, no hands up? I see Andrew's hands up, but.
No, I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
No elected members haven't recorded. Okay. All right. So since there are no members asking for a recorded vote, and if it was less than 3 members, then we would need to have we would not have a recorded vote. So since there is no member asking for a recorded vote, the motion is considered passed by consensus.
I think Bruce had hands up. Bruce had a hand up.
Yeah, I realize it's less than 3, but maybe on the record my hand is up.
Okay, so we need, if there's less than 3 PIAC member requesting a recorded vote, you need a minimum of 3.
What do you mean by recording vote? Sorry.
Just recorded vote. So asking for recorded vote.
For what exactly?
So we've got 1. Anyone else?
She's asking for a definition of what recorded vote means.
Oh, so
For this one?
my apologies. Recorded vote, we would go to each ward and ask them in favor or against or abstain. And then we would record what each ward is saying. If no ward, if everyone is in support of outgoing co-chair being the ex officio, then it would just be a consensus vote, and then it would just pass without meaning everyone has recorded in favor by not asking for a recorded vote. So, Bruce, you're still looking for a recorded vote? Yes?
Well, I think as you describe, it doesn't matter. If it's less than 3, it doesn't matter, right? So.
Now that I've explained, anyone else is looking? Right?
That's fine. Put my.
I'm sorry? Okay.
Erin, I was just reading Erin's comment. It says basically if you're against and you like a vote. But we're against what though? I'm still not understanding. But anyways.
Not having or outgoing member or it's not an automatic position. There's a process.
Oh, okay. For this position,
process,
Andrew, right?
The process you have to ask the member, you have to ask the outgoing member if they're willing to stay on and help support. They have to say yes. If they say no, then we don't have an advisory role.
Fine. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And, and we would have so we're coming into this meeting with a clear requirement that it is not every year we have to go through this because not every year a member is willing to stay on. Maybe there's changes happen, right? But Andrew has graciously agreed to stay on and help as an advisory role to help support the co-chair, in this case, Sharon and Zena. Okay.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Erin from Ward 1.
Okay. Okay.
Do you need my hands up for that or to record it?
No. If you don't only if you want to record a vote. If you do not have a recorded vote, then it's automatically passed. So that's what the next thing I was going to say. If all is well, I'm not going to force our members. I want to make sure. That means it would be on the record that all the members agree to this. Okay, that's what it means. So okay. So in seeing that we don't have the minimum 3 PIAC member requesting a recorded vote, the motion is considered passed by consensus. I mean, everyone is agreeing, except I think Bruce put his hand up. I'm not sure in what, but it's passed by consensus. And Andrew, welcome and thank you very much for staying on for PIAC and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, and I know you had your hand up waiting for this. Go ahead, you may speak. I think you may have a question. Go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to mention when we were discussing the Zoom account, it appears that there has been a change in the way we're doing our meetings now. They're streamed. So I think that's a factor that the committee should consider when deciding whether or not the size of Zoom account or whether to have a Zoom account is necessary, since it appears now we might only need 60 to conduct our formal meetings, and that the streaming would be the availability for people to attend. But again, that's also dependent on whether we do town halls or other pieces. But I just wanted to raise that point.
Okay, thank you. And I'm putting it back to Jenny. Anything? Congratulations, Andrew. Any additional info?
Yeah, so I can go over some what the role entails, if that's what you guys are looking for. Okay, so now that it's official, so congratulations, Andrew. So what everyone is aware, so as we mentioned, it is a non-voting role. Sorry, let me just get my specifics here. Okay, so with that, we'll have Andrew will be able to help with the co-chairs, as it's in an advisory position. So this may include attending meetings where community members are permitted to join, attending the PIAC executive and general meetings, and may include administrative duties such as helping with the login and checking of the email accounts. So congratulations, Andrew. I'm
Yes,
glad you
thank
can
you.
continue
And
on.
this is in consistency with what the other previous ex officio outgoing co-chairs have done, and so we're just keeping it consistent. Happy, Andrew, that you're back and you're here to help provide some knowledge and helps the strong advocacy with us. And as a whole for a team, we need to be a unified front as a whole, as a group. And the stronger we are as a group, the better we are in order to advocate for our parents or TDSB parents and students at the board level. And as a unit, we're stronger in our voice, and our parents will look at us favorably. So I'm very happy. And Andrew, we're going to start tonight. Thank you. Can I see the meeting agenda again there, Michelle? Oh, sorry, Jenny, are we good? And Janice?
Yep, I have nothing further to add.
And
yeah, all good.
Yes, and Andrew, I apologize. It's on behalf of Zena and I. It's not just myself, it's Zena and I as co-chair. We welcome you. I welcome your advice, okay, and your support. Thank you. Michelle, would you be able to put the agenda up first, if you don't mind?
Through your chair, just give me a moment and I'll do that.
Okay. I think it's new business. No, no, special event working group. Go ahead, Nadia.
Yes. Hi. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Zena. And congratulations, Andrew. Welcome back. All right. So just going to make this short and sweet, but do have some reports to be brought. There was a written report that was submitted later on this evening. So we have been having some meetings. We had started last week. Well, we started in November, but then last week we started, we had a meeting, and then yesterday we had a meeting. So we're trying to do weekly meetings because the event is approaching quite quickly, which is going to be Saturday, February 3rd. And we have a time, which would be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We also have a theme, and we also have an event name. So it's going to be Ready, Set, Engage, Empowering School Councils. The name says it all. It's going to be focused on school councils and helping support them and also to celebrate them. So the way that the event's going to look, it's in the beginning, morning, we're going to have one mega workshop, which will be in the auditorium. And in that mega workshop, we're planning on having segments. And the segments will be where we talk about, we're going to have like opportunity to talk to school councils about budget, bylaws, equality, and the SIP, SSON, and so forth. More details are in my report if you'd like to take a look at that. Also, the presenters will be PIAC members. So if anybody's interested in becoming a presenter for this, please let us know. That'd be really great. So far, we've have some volunteers already that are graciously volunteering their time that day to present. So we're looking for more, and more the better. And we're also looking for more volunteers to help support with the event, whether it be throughout the event, whether it be before the event or even the day before the event with setup. But yeah, we definitely need PIAC members. I believe if we do have more PIAC members, the stronger we show our parents and our school councils what we do, we'll have like a stronger front. And yeah, it's going to be taking place at Earl Hague Secondary School. And right now we're working on our communication plan, trying to get a design for the Save the Date flyer. We want to get that out before Christmas to parents. And then also we want to be able to get have registration open up when we get back from the break. Are there any other questions for me, or did I miss
Busing will be available
anything?
as well.
Oh, yes, and busing, sorry. And busing will be, we're gonna support transportation through school buses.
Are we having any staff to come support this as well? And trustee?
Yes, invites to staff will be there because, sorry, after the MECA workshop, we're going to have a lunch to follow, and that lunch will be an opportunity for networking. So we're hoping to have staff there, trustees there for that component. And then also we would like to celebrate school councils at the end of the event, or at the end of the networking session, I should say. So we're going to recognize the hard work that school councils do.
Thank you. I have two hands up, Melanie and then
Any
Bruce.
questions?
Yeah, Melanie first and then Bruce.
Sorry, I'm going back. I was just thinking about something Janice said, if I can ask a question to membership. Is there like somewhere a sheet with all the PIAC members' names, last names, their wards, so then we can figure out what their TDSB email is, as well as like who leads what working group? Because you had mentioned like Bahira left. I didn't know that. You're like, oh, as we know, Bahira left to go to another, like I didn't even know she left. So like, how would that information be shared? Is there something already that I can like just go maybe on the Google Drive and look and see who all the reps are, what their wards are? Is there anything like that?
So membership is the keeper of all the membership information and personal emails, et cetera, et cetera. We can provide you, yeah, no problem, with a list of each of the wards and each of the reps. As far as people coming and going, that's why we put the membership report together every month, because there's lots of activity that goes on. So we just put it all together and present it at each meeting. So that's not really, that part of it is not really available for people to be constantly monitoring. That's why we provide our report. But I can certainly send you a list of members and their wards. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry, just because it's just the way you said it, and I was like, oh, and then, but yes, if I read the report, I would have known. Yes. So thank you.
Okay. And also I would like to encourage everyone right now in the chat, sign up, put your updated email ID other than the TDSB one, so that membership have updated information on you. And so what we're going to do every year, membership, I think I don't know if you put it in the report. I apologize if I repeating, but every start of every year, we will have declaration by paper. And then going through the year, we will just ask if there's any conflict or any change of status as we go along. So just like a school council refreshing every year, we're going to refresh every year with our membership at the start of September. And then that way, because there's sometimes you may graduate out of the system, you may change boards, right? And stuff like that during the school year. So it's not going to assume for 2 years because you're a member that you're going to end up becoming a PIAC rep, because anytime within that time that you change the status, and you're not part of TDSB, either it be moving to another board or graduating out of the system, because now your child is now past grade 12, you're automatically cannot continue to be a PIAC rep, right? So the criteria has to be, you have to still have a child attending school within the TDSB, you live in the area, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I just wanted to, so every time we refresh, but we do the administrative part just by asking, and you have to declare any kind of change, or if you're employee of the board. Okay. Jenny, go ahead then, Bruce, because Jenny, I know you're part of membership, so I would like to speak on.
So I just wanted to add to what you're just saying, though, too. The other thing is, so on top of doing it at the beginning of the school year for those who are continuing on, we're hoping to put the link in as part of the initial welcoming package, so that because everyone's we have elections throughout the whole year. When the new member comes on, that will be one of the first things they do before their first meeting.
Yeah. Sorry, not just new member, but returning members. No,
Yes, yeah. So anyone, yes, yes. So
yes, yeah.
as you start fresh.
Yes,
Yeah.
start fresh. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Bruce and then Sarah. And we have a few more minutes, and then we have to try and finish in time by 9:25. So go ahead, Bruce.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask quickly, I think Seema and
Nicole?
No, no. Anyways, sorry. So there was, is there still opportunity for students to volunteer on the design of the flyer? I think Jessica Ruiz and Seema, if you could answer.
Seema speaking, yeah, there is space for another person to join.
Should I have them just email yourself, or because I know Jessica was dealing with student volunteers before?
Yeah, sorry, is it volunteer or volunteer for the flyer? There's two different.
Volunteer for the flyer design.
So that would be Nadia. Nadia would be part of that conversation.
Yeah, so just CC myself and Nadia.
And Nadia and Seema, yes.
Thank you.
And
right now we currently have 2 students that have put forward interest.
Oh, okay.
And so definitely we could take on another student. They could all collab because we're giving a very quick turnaround time for this. We were hoping to get that by Friday, I believe, before Seema meets with the communication department. But I'm not certain when that meeting is going to take place right now. But we're trying to get it in before we meet with the TDSB communication department. This way they have something to go with, like a baseline.
And
but definitely you can put forward the email. Let's connect. You can email me tonight, and then we can get that going.
And we're going to provide a volunteer hours, so it's not free for them. They need to get some support on the volunteer hours, so they're volunteering to help support our flyer. Just keep
there'll be recognition.
Hi, Sharon. I was just about to say, like, can you guys add me to that email so we can give the volunteer hours as well?
Okay, so
sure.
Jessica will manage that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Was there another question?
So Nadia and Seema, just provide the names of the students and the hours to Jessica, who can manage that piece. Okay, for us.
Sure. And
I want to tell him thank you.
Bruce will connect after. Is there another question? Was there a question from Sarah?
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, Nadia. I can't speak for the other PIAC, but I haven't received the report for special event. So I would like to know more detail exactly what is entailed. Is it the same conference for parent engagement before putting my name to support a volunteer?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, so I could give you more details. I'm sorry about the report. I don't think I did submit it quite late this evening, so I don't think there was an opportunity for it to be sent out as yet. But it should be sent out soon, but I'll definitely provide a little bit more insight for you. So we're looking at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. would be registration. 11:10 to 12:30 will be the mega workshop. So what this mega workshop will be is we would hopefully have PIAC representatives that will help with the workshop. We're looking at 20-minute segments in each workshop. So the workshop would talk about, 20-minute segments in the workshop. So what the segments would talk about is you're looking at like equality. We'll talk about like the SIP, SSON. So we're just basically giving a general overview to school councils because not everybody knows what everything is pertaining, right? They don't know always about the bylaws, the budget. They don't know, some of them don't even know what a SIP is. Some of them don't even know what a SSON is. Some of them don't know about the equality. Some of them don't know about engagement versus like fundraising or, organizing events within their school. So we want to give all of that, want to talk about like budgeting for them, finances and stuff like that. That's going to be in this workshop. So it's about 80 minutes long. We're going to provide like a Q&A as well too. I believe we haven't really fine-tuned the Q&A. I think we're going to allow a couple questions in between segments, and then perhaps at the end of the workshop itself, that's when we'll open it up to more questions. And then because of the networking opportunity that we'll have, school councils will have more of an opportunity to speak to us one-on-one if needed or in groups and ask more questions. So we're all there to support them. And then afterwards, after the networking, it will also provide them an opportunity to meet with other schools, engage with other schools during the networking session. And then they can also meet with staff. They can meet with, trustees. And then we're going to celebrate them afterwards. So we're just going to have like a dessert reception, and we're just going to acknowledge their hard work. What that's going to look like exactly, like whether we're going to give out awards or not, we haven't fine-tuned that yet, but we'll definitely give
So
some
Nadia,
sort of recognition to them.
Question.
Okay.
It sounds like it's more of a school council. So how come special event haven't reached out to the working group of school council? Because if it's more about school council, we could have given you guys certain aspect of what school council is interested in learning and need support with it. You see what I mean? Instead of, I don't know how was this event put in, but just as an FYI, because it sounds like to support school council, we already know as the working group what major issues they have or what trainings. Example, one of them we brought it up, which is the treasurer or the budget role. You see what I mean? So is there a way that we can collaborate maybe for the two working group outside of here?
Oh, yeah.
I know Chair Sharon, I'm doing that. That's why I'm saying outside.
Yeah, no. I was saying that. No, I was gonna agree saying that there's usually, just so everyone knows, even if you're not a member within a working group, but like say special events, it's open to all membership to go. So we can, like, I know communications team is part of that working group as well. So that is great feedback, and I'm looking forward to seeing. You have some members that are part of school council that are actually in the special event. So that's great feedback, and this is great. And one of the key thing for the orientation, I'm looking forward for every member to be at an orientation in January. This is part of getting us ready to be able to go in February 3rd. So this is part of the whole intent and get us be more community, so that we can go as a family and go and represent us on February 3rd. So thanks. Okay.
No, definitely. Thank you for that, Sarah.
Mhm.
And our next meeting, if you guys are available, is going to be on Monday at 7:30 p.m. and we'll have a link sent out for that. We did send out the link to everybody last week, but there was for yesterday's event, but there was a little bit of a hiccup on my end. I wasn't able to generate the link myself, so I had to ask for assistance to get that link out. So it did come up quite late, so didn't give enough notice, but definitely, we have one coming up on Monday, and we would love for you guys to attend that. And we can definitely
and so when
collaborate.
special events is happening, and whenever time we're getting closer to the event, we will usually, it's not going to be just the once a month. There may be weekly meeting to fine tune, and it's perfect time for school council group to come in now and help support the consultation with special events. So it's good. Strategic plan I've already spoke about, that we're having a strategic planning meeting, get together in January or at the same time as orientation. This is one of the only times I can get all my members, hopefully there under one roof, and not ask you to come back multiple times, and at least start the ball rolling in terms of our plan, and make sure that we're unified front in that team. Okay. Date to follow. Zina and I will consult and get some dates with staff and see. And the intent is it's going to be in person at one of the schools. We're going to figure out what area. We're going to put a list out, and also meal. And we're going to have it as a nice, like how the trustees are. They have their retreat. This is going to be our retreat. So, Trustee Matthias, you heard that? So this is going to be a retreat for strategic planning. Oh, I don't know if he's on. Next step is a consultation. Oh yeah, food will be food will be good. Consultation. Go ahead, Kadeen, and Kadeen, who's your consultation team? Al and Sarah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Nothing. Yeah, go ahead, sorry. Nothing? Okay.
No. And
Okay, go ahead.
we already mentioned before, sorry, I was new as a co-lead. I think Kadeen wasn't there, but, and you would head the chairs.
Yeah.
But I think we discussed what we're going to be presenting, and I think Andrew was also there, and a few members, and Bruce, missing somebody else, and Apparent Mercy. In regards to, we're going to be focusing on about the policy, the consulting. We talked already about it, so I don't want to go into detail. So I'll leave it for the next meeting with all
All
of
right,
them.
perfect.
So there
No
you go.
problem.
Don't you guys
No
like that?
problem. Yeah. And we're trying, I'm doing well. A few more minutes just to say any ward updates? None? Not rushing it. Try to see if we can finish in the next couple of minutes so staff can and parents can go home to their children. I'll be online. Okay, go ahead, Seema. Go ahead for Ward 18.
Just wanted to mention that Parthy, my former trustee for my ward, did win the city council election for Ward 20 about 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
So he's moving on up.
Oh, good. Congrats. So we have the ward trustee open. Nice. Congrats.
No, the trustee position is still filled, but he has moved on to city council now.
Nice. And okay. And I know Ward 4 has an update. So either Jessica or Tamash, I know you had a Ward 4 event. So go ahead, Jessica. Ward 4 event. I know you did.
Hi, sorry everybody. I thought is Tamasha on still or no? Okay, we had a successful ward for dinner for our councils, parent councils. A very, very successful evening. Thank you, Trustee Matias, and thank you, Sharon. It was an amazing event and a great turnout.
So it was a celebration, celebrating the school council within the area. And they got dinner, they got an award, a certificate for supporting them. So yeah, I felt good getting that award. So thank you. Any other thanks? Any other word update? Other than elections coming up and all that?
Well, ours is already mentioned, so there's nothing to say. We've been elected. So Ward 2 had their election and ward meeting.
And is that it? Any new business? Is that the next one, Michelle? I cannot see the bottom. Number 10 is any new business?
Through you, Chair, yes, there is. Discussion of PIAC's official business is the final item.
Oh, okay.
I believe that was to be presented by Kadeen.
Yes, Kadeen, remember you had a concern in exec? This is, we wanted you to bring it forward to the membership. Go ahead, Kadeen, if you're still on. Even a summary if you don't have anything pre-written. She on? She on? Or maybe she's not on yet. So we can carry that over to the next January, because it's important that our members hear about it was
Through you,
needing
Chair,
space.
she's no longer on.
Yes, it was about needing a space to discuss things as general committee. So we'll carry that over, Michelle, to the next the next meeting in January. Okay, give her an opportunity to speak. And oh, sorry, Nadia has her hand up. Go ahead, Nadia.
Sorry, yes. Unfortunately, I did miss my opportunity to address Executive Superintendent Utan Robinson regarding the statement that he had read about the Christmas versus, yeah, about Christmas.
Okay.
And I do apologize. I'm just wondering if I can ask my question regarding that.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I
Speak
do
a bit
have a
louder. We can't hear you. We
concern.
can barely hear you doing
Okay,
that. Yeah.
sorry. I do.
Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry. I do have a concern. I do have a couple concerned parents in my ward, and one is actually present in this meeting tonight. And their concern is they're just concerned about why the name Christmas has to be taken out of the equation, and be substituted like with winter or anything like that. And the reason for that is because they're inclusive to other festivities. They love that. They participate with their children, participate in them as well. But other festivities, other celebrations gets their name minus Christmas. So I'm just addressing that concern.
Go ahead,
Thank-
Exec Robinson.
No, thank you for the question. I will take that question and actually pose it to the equity team that drafted that particular note that I read from and provide you with a response in the next day or so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I saw Tamasha put something in the chat. Tamasha, you want to say something? Go ahead. But can't hear you. We can't hear Tamasha. I know you're unmuted, but no, nothing coming through the mic.
Through you, Chair, her chat does say that she's having issues with the microphone.
Okay, then. Thank you. All right. So I just want to recognize Tamasha as well that she did put through attempt. So on the next at number 11, is that the last? There's a number 11 after new business. What's the next item below? Adjournment. Yeah. Okay. So before we adjourn, I know I said it before, and I would like to say it again. I wish each and every one of you, along with your family, a safe and enjoyable holiday. And hope and happy, I can say Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And hope to see you all in January, fresh, ready, vibrant, in order to take on our strong advocacy role to the board. So thank you.
Great holidays, everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Through you, Chair, can we just get a motion of adjournment?
I'll put forward a motion, Ward 11, Janice.
Ward 1 will second it.
Ward 2.
Thank you. Sorry, had a teenager coming in with a loud noise. My apologies. I had to. I apologize. So, and to this, I say I bid you all good night, and again, have a safe time off until we meet again in the new year.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Good
Take
night.
care, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Happy holidays. And as well, make sure that the resolutions we make for the new year, we stick to them.